Hey, good morning, everyone. Good to have you guys on. Great to see you guys. 20th of October, Wednesday. Wonderful Wednesday. Hey, good morning to Sean and James and Alison and Holly and Sanchito and Alexis and Vivi. Great to have you guys here for another Wealth Coffee chat and hanging out, sharing a bit of wisdom, sharing a bit of information, understanding, knowledge, inspiration, aspiration, whatever it is. Good to have all of you guys here this morning. If you're new, if you're brand new, maybe you're old new, brand new, whatever it is, give us a shout out in the chat and say g'day. My name's Jason Whitten. If you haven't met me before, it might say it somewhere on the chat or the stream, but there you go. Been property investing over 20 years and helping property investors across Australia and New Zealand build their property portfolios. And along the way, hey, VV. VV, not Vivi. Thank you for that one. It's always a little bit more risky in the world of reading and then saying someone's name. You might get it wrong, but appreciate you let me know. VV, good to see you. And Shah, good to see you too. Hopefully everyone's awesome. Hopefully everyone's well. Things are going interestingly as it's been. It's something that we've just been saying like endlessly, isn't it? Interesting times. Wow, interesting. This is so curious. Whatever it is. However, we're trying to make sense of it as property investors, aren't we? We all are. And we want to keep an eye on things that are happening. We want to make sure we spot what might be an opportunity, a problem, and or a combination of both, and take advantage of it or minimize any challenges from it. So today we're going to talk about things that are on the rise, some costs that are on the rise, and maybe talk about what that means to us as property investors. But before I do that, Brendan, g'day, mate. How are you? Mark, good to see you. Good morning to you. What do you think, team, gang? Chuck it in the chat. What do you think is going up at an insane pace at the moment in our world of property? And some of these things are up, 75%, according to some sources. What do you think is extremely volatile at the moment? Yep, the cost of what, Brendan? The cost of which bits? Good morning, Bob. The cost of. Chuck it in the chat if you think you know. I'll have a little sip of my coffee. Yeah, it was kind of a trick question, but I think it was an easy giveaway, was it? Whoever was the Facebook user, good morning to you. There's a little bit of a weirdness that happens in Restream. I'm using this tool called Restream to multiple stream to Facebook and YouTube and other places all at once. And I don't get to see who it is. Hey, Bob, Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin's on the up and up as well. Certainly curious to watch that one as we go. But whoever said materials, whoever said the construction costs of potentially real estate is on the money. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning to you. Rising costs in the world of construction right now are something that we all have to understand and really pay some attention to when it comes to the property prices. And according to the HIA, the Housing Industry of Australia, there's been some significant increases in prices of certain things to get a house built. All right, raw goods, absolutely, VV. And what might that be? Well, here's a bit of a guide right now. Trusses, the things you got to put a roof on with, or the framing. Does anyone remember what happened just before? Shortage of trades as well, Brendan. Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone remember in 2000, late 2019, before the COVID sort of gnarliness sort of landed upon all of us. What happened in the world of timber? Does anyone remember what happened in the world of timber? And I don't know if you guys know, but in Australia we had some significant fires, and those fires significantly impacted the timber industry in Australia. So the idea that we could get access to timber in our supply chain prior to COVID was affected as well. There was a massive timber shortage around because we had some fires. And then America woke up and said, let's build some houses like Australia did and many other places around the world. America went on a timber buying spree. They had some challenges with supplying their own timber as well. And so right now, timber, prefabricated frames and trusses and other things up. Structural steel. Alison and I talked about that once or twice on Wealth, Wine and Wisdom. You know, Blue Scope Steel might have been a pretty good bet 12, 18 months ago for an investment on some shares. Who knows? It'd be interesting to see if it is up in that sort of space anyway. And, you know, roofing and so on. And so down the bottom here, you can see landscaping, concrete slabs, labour hire. We're going to talk about labour hire in a minute, so stick with me for the chat this morning. And you can have a look at a bunch of other things. So if you did some reasonable math, if you did some math on the increase, hang on for the long game, I think so for sure. If you did some math on those increases as you look at the price of a property, you know, that's going to sort of come over here in the vicinity of sort of 15 to 20% of the cost of a building, a house, the materials, the supply to build a new property. So right now, what we're seeing, and we're seeing house prices, certainly in the new house pricing world. Oh, Vivi, good question. Is there a likelihood that prices will go down? And that was part of my conversation today. Stick with me. You must be reading my mind, because I was going to say there's people who are sort of saying, oh, I'll wait till the prices go down. And I don't think they will significantly in areas that are any good, to be honest. But let's talk about what that means. But we'll talk about that in a second. So, you know, we're talking about the materials on average going up. Now that's included, that includes building multiple houses and so on, apartments and townhouses and those sorts of things. So what you're going to see in this sort of, next, sort of 12 to 24 months, gang. I'm just going to just do it here, so I don't want to give away the next piece of this slide. Over the next 12 to 24 months, in here, we're going to see something that's quite interesting. We're going to see, let's say, 2020 prices. Now, let's say a house was $550 in 2020, and now, basically, all of a sudden, the prices in 2021/22 are looking like this, $650. Is everyone following along what I mean? And there's this kind of gap in confidence because the prices they look like they're overpriced. All right, they look like the prices are overpriced. You're like, you're kidding me. I can buy a 1-year-old house around the corner for $550 and that one's $650. It doesn't make any sense, right? Well, it does make sense if you understand why that new pricing is set that way, okay? The idea that we need to get our heads around that as investors and understand that these prices are now being set with new highs, new price points that by and large that pricing won't adjust significantly into the future. Okay, this baseline, this bottom line is sort of slowly but surely moving upwards, okay? So we've got to sort of get our heads around that one as we move into this next part of the market phase, okay? Which is something to understand. And Brendan is on it right there and sort of saying builders are asking for longer contracts because, ladies and gents, we have some labour issues in our marketplaces also. The time frame to get the materials to Australia, the time frames for construction, and so on, is actually affecting these new builds. So there's some funkiness going on right now. That what used to be really tight and simple to not simple, but understandable because it was kind of like it was the mojo, it was the system. You know, you buy your land, you get it sorted, you get it funded, and you could build a house in 6 months. Well, you know, now there's this kind of fudge factor in that construction. Probably we're seeing 3 to 6 months kind of fudge factor in there for construction. Now, we need to understand what that means. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do one. You just need to understand that's the normal now, not what the normal used to be in 2020, because it's not 2020, it's 2021 and almost 2022. And things are different right now, and that's okay as long as you know what you're up to. So labour hire for me right now, I think this one is the one we got to watch because we can see in many places in Australia shortages now taking effect when it comes to labour and jobs in many places. So we got to keep an eye on that one as we roll into this next phase of our marketplace and construction. But there was a good question before, and VV asked this question. I'll put this down a bit. You know, are we going to see property prices go down? Yeah, I think you timed it perfectly, Bob. Your granny flat in 219. You probably would have. That's probably one of the best prices in years because 217 and 218 were a bit funky in the real estate market, as you can see here. Okay, across there we had a little bit of an adjustment in that market time as we went along. But VV asked, do you think that property prices will go down? And the answer is no. In general, but there will be places and properties, VV, that people have overpaid for that will adjust more than others. Okay, you can have a look here. Since 1980, we've had a pretty consistent long-term run on the value, and we've got some sayings around here. All of you guys should know these ones. Buy well, never sell. This thing's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you have a look at from 2000 to now, this 20-year trajectory has been pretty good, And prior to that, she was a little bit on the slow, but right now, the thing that's accelerated this 20 years certainly is something for another time, a discussion for another time. But I've got some understanding about what's accelerated values all around the world. More money than ever, more incomes than ever, more accessibility to information than ever, et cetera, et cetera. But we won't dive into that one today. We can do that another day. So over the medium to long term, property prices continue to march onwards. And that happens, excuse me, it happens all the time, whether we're in boom times or not. There's inflation that's affecting marketplaces that ultimately affect us as property investors. Inflation affects the cost of materials normally, and now it's abnormal right now. This inflation of 75% increase in a piece of timber is because of supply and demand issues, not the natural progression of inflation, right? So we've got an issue in the short term that we might need to manage. Now, that may adjust. We might be able to resupply the materials chain, and the price of construction might reduce a little, let's say. but you won't see things like wages go down. Like you don't see wages go. Once it goes up, it doesn't go down. Materials might come down, but builders might keep those prices there because that's what everyone's paying. And you've got to sort of get your head around what that might look like. So let's have a bit of a look at the historical house growth price chart. And to answer VV's question, really at the end of the day, this is kind of the culmination of where we might think, where are we sitting right now? And have a look at the negative growth time frames and or impacts of property markets, okay? And so we've had plenty of times where we've had sort of nice, high growth in a year, which is kind of, it's not abnormal, but it's not all the time. This is a rolling year-end percentage change, January to December. What was the change, the average change of the median house price in Australia as from the 1990s? So you can sort of see that, it has an increase, so we get growth, and then it kind of goes, flattish, and sort of small amounts of growth, which is fine, and then we get a little bit more, and then we kind of, flat, volatile-ish, flat in here, but there was still some growth in there, and we had some down times as well. And so when we think about, all right, what might it look like from this section here, here's my prediction for the next little bit. I think it's going to do that. I think we're going to have some growth into 22 and 23, and I think we might have some lesser growth after that. That's what I think, because we've still got things to come. You guys know this. We've still got immigration. We've got immigration to turn back on. I think that'll be a big tick, a massive tick in our world. So this is for jobs. I'm going to say students as well, but that's kind of like they're one and the same. All right, jobs and students, immigration is going to be massive. And we've got an undersupply right now for our marketplaces as we go. And then interest rates are still pretty cheap. All right. They're low, all right? So I think until these get fixed, then we're still going to have some pressures on our marketplace, right? Okay. What do you guys think? How long do you think it would take to get, 500,000-600,000 people into Australia, get all the students back, fix the undersupply of real estate, and increase the interest rates? How many years? Put it in the chat for me. Do you think that would be it would take to fix that one? Okay, what do you guys reckon? Because I think it's going to take at least for me, I think it's going to take 5 years. I think we've got 3 to 5 years of these. Yep, 2 to 3, Nicole. That's quite positive for me. Yep, 2 to 4. That's absolutely 3 to 5. Listen, I reckon 3 to 5 years to fix those major issues that we have in Australia, causing issues in one way, shape, or form in the property market that we can take advantage of if we're in the world of property investing. Okay, so it's a bit sort of higgledy-piggledy this conversation this morning, but I would just wanted to sort of land that one, team. Construction prices up. That's going to continue to push property values in that direction for a little while. There's no reason, unless the government intervenes with some stupid aggressive policy. And that section there, all right, that one there, that was the APRA intervention with the banks. And that was governments touting that they were going to change negative gearing and capital gains taxes, and really it was a political grandstand. So that may happen. Like we've said many times before, politics is your number one risk in any financial thing, whether it's business, whether it's property investing, whether it's shares, whether it's whatever it is. The politics are the number one risk. Everything else is fairly understandable. Politicians are not, unfortunately. Anyway, I won't get into that. I'll say that was it. That's it. Wealth Coffee Chat done for, I don't know, Wednesday the 20th of October. A little bit all over the place today with the chat, but, you know, I think we got there in the end with making something out of it. Vote them out if they start with that nonsense. I guarantee, I'm with you, Alison. Yep, vote with your feet. Get involved, team. All right, you guys be good and be well. That's it for me. Wealth Coffee Chat done. Join me tomorrow, another Wealth Coffee Chat. Let's hang out. Let's talk on Terrific Thursday or Thankful Thursday, whatever we want to call it. And we'll do it again, around about 8:05 each day, Queensland time. We'll have another Wealth Coffee Chat. All right, you guys, take care. Stay safe wherever you are. And until I see you tomorrow, bye for now.